They say nothing is impossible, but I do nothing every day, so I really don't know what they're talking about.
All right, we are back with another Drive Across 65, season one, episode 11, and college football is canceled this season.
Oh.
No, all right. We are back, season one, episode 11, and we were wrong about Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't think Georgia would be quite the dominant team they were last season. So far, I mean, they scored their first 7 drives, they gave up 3 points. Could be the same old Georgia after all.
Or we could open up with season one, episode 11, and we were right about Clemson because they are trash.
Yeah, we did have Clemson not covering the points last night, but then Georgia Tech did us no favors, did they?
It's stupid. I hate college football. I
It's
don't
yeah,
want it.
it's week one, week zero. We talked about this. It's tough. It takes a little while to figure out who's what, but we will have it.
I think we have a good idea about Florida now. But anyways, we'll get there. So tell me something about across the pond. Anything going on across the pond, man? Anything fun in the football?
Well, I'm gonna shill for my boys. Manchester United have now won 4 straight games after that
Shout out.
horrific start to the season. We beat Arsenal. Arsenal was undefeated, untied after the first 5 games, and even after beating them, they're still first place in the league. We have climbed all the way from 20th to fifth in 4 games, and we got these
Nice.
new signings. Anthony scored on his very first game and celebrated by running to the corner and kissing the logo, the Manchester United logo on his shirt. So he's in with me.
Right
he
on.
is,
Yeah, he little positive vibes going there, man.
yeah.
I'm with it. We need
And
it.
it's looking like more open than it did before. I was very, very down on them. I'm trying not to get too up on them. 4 games in a row is nice, but there's still a long way to go. And I just have more hope than I did, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that the show has that much power that you could rant about a team 5,000 miles away and then hear the call and turn it on, man. It's awesome. Glad we have
Right.
that reach.
The big surprise right now in that league is Leicester City. Some people may recognize that name. A few years back, they came out of nowhere and won the Premier League. And this year, they're looking like maybe the worst team in the league and potentially going back down to demotion next year. Um, yeah, they have 5,000 to 1 long shots to win the Premier League, and they did it. 2016, 17, something like that. And they've maintained good play throughout that time, but this season looks bad.
So the way I interpret that is like the promotions and demotions, like the Reds and uh, the Diamondbacks would have been promoted or demoted this year, and they would have brought some AAA teams up to play in their stead, right? Is that kind of
That's
like
yeah,
how
that's
that?
essentially how it is. Yeah,
Okay,
and I've been an advocate for doing that in college football. That way, there can be no complaining about teams getting shut out. You need to be in the top flight in order to compete.
so essentially college realignment. Good job, Pete. You solved
Yeah, I solved it a long time ago. No one listens to me though.
it. All right. So we'll get a little topical here. I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want you to picture yourself as a quarterback for the Texas Longhorns, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now open them because you have to drive. You're driving to the stadium and you park. Where did you go wrong?
Where did I go wrong? I probably parked in the coach's parking space.
how, 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 like a Native American, how did the I am Native American. I'm allowed to say that.
It's okay.
How did the starting quarterback of what is maybe tell me what your perception of Texas football is.
Oh, they're a bigger name than they are on field product, that's for sure. But that name is big.
Huge.
It's huge.
How does he get his car towed? How? How? And then And then it's like a Porsche or Ferrari or Lamborghini. I don't know. And one, it doesn't have any of the NIL letters in it for sure, but he definitely didn't get that on his own. How? And then your coach came out and was like, learn how to park, dummy. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like he missed he missed the throw. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have to go. It was like a 3-hour process for the kid to get his car back. And I can't pronounce Texas's head coach's name, but he was not in support of the process. What's his name?
Steve Sarkisian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would pronounce his stats, but he doesn't have any yet.
Yeah.
Michigan.
He did play
Texas
quarterback at
isn't back
BYU
yet.
back in the day.
Shout out. He's
Yeah.
Mormon. That's cool.
Yeah.
I do have some other news. 12-team playoff starting in 2026, and I do believe Scott Frost has entered the chat.
Yep. They're trying to see if they can't get it in 2024 too. Top 6 conference champions will automatically qualify, seeing as though there's a Power 5 that guarantees at least one non-Power 5 conference champion to get in. So it's a little late for the likes of Marshall from days past, Central Florida days past, but they have a chance to do it now.
Yeah, I think it's very, very well past time, man. And shout out. Like growing up, I didn't really consider the impact it had of however many committee members deciding who's the best 2 teams in the nation. But now, like being as dedicated to sports and the awareness, the process before was insane.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And then you see some of these lopsided national championships and you're like, wow, man, like how did they miss that bad? Well, now they won't. So I'm happy for them. I'm glad it's happening.
In a situation like college football, it's not like the NFL where even though everybody doesn't play everybody, there's enough games between enough teams that the standings alone can determine who goes to the playoffs. In college, you can't do that. You have to select teams. There's no other way around it. So if you're going to select 2 teams and select 12 teams, I'd rather there be a conversation between the 12th best and the 13th best than the second best and the third best. Because that third best team is more than capable of winning a national title and being left out. I mean, college basketball, there's always talk about who should have made a tournament. But at the end of the day, we're talking about 68 versus 69. That's less of a big deal than, well, we're not going to put Duke in the title game this year because they weren't one of the 2 best college basketball teams. Duke will make the tournament. Kansas will make the tournament.
Right.
And so on and so forth. So there's less controversy, less haggle going on between 12 and 13 than there is 2 and 3.
It's funny that you said that because in my notes I have, so the 12-team playoff means, in other words, Alabama and Ohio State will have to play a few extra games to inevitably end up or potentially meet in the championship game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably how it's going to come out in the wash, but at least, Central Florida will have an opportunity, you know what I mean? Or schools like Central Florida when Scott Frost was there.
Now, as it stands, it seems as though it's the perception, but that perception is based in reality, that a team like Alabama and Ohio State almost get to have a loss. They get to lose a game and they can still make the playoff. Now other teams will have a similar leeway. So it does even it out a little bit. And hey, get to the playoffs. You're probably going to have to beat Alabama at some point to win a title, or Ohio State. You want to be a national champion? You got to win that game. At least now you have the opportunity. Cincinnati last season at least got to share the field they were finally recognized as worthy of being on the same field as Alabama.
Right.
They didn't win the game. That's fair. They played a good game. They don't have the horses, let's put it bluntly, to go up against an Alabama in a season-long competition. But one game, give it a shot. At least they got the opportunity. Right.
Speaking of Cincinnati, we were correct about them out of the gate, losing to Arkansas. The proof is kind of in the pudding this year. They lost everybody. They didn't reload like Georgia did, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and they played a tough game. They were at Arkansas. Arkansas was, for a while, a top 10 team last season.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if at some point this season they get ranked in the top 10. They played hard, came up short. That conference as a whole was iffy. Houston didn't They won their game, but they didn't show out either. So maybe it's a year of transition as that conference is going under this upheaval that they're going through
Right.
right now.
Right. So let's talk about some more games that we did bet, so we can draw this out a little bit. Let me ask you, what's crazier? Okay, the final score of a football game being 7-3 with 0 touchdowns scored, or LSU going 99 yards, scoring with 0 seconds on the clock, just to have the PAT blocked. Which one's more insane?
I've never seen 7-3 without a touchdown. My understanding is it happened at some point in time, but a game that was 3-3 at halftime that ended 7-3. That's 2 safeties in the second half for Iowa. We're talking about Iowa, South Dakota State. That's crazy. If I had to choose between the two, I'm going to choose that one. You and I are both, I think, a fan of John Boyce over
Yep.
at SB Nation, or
Yes,
whatever they're
sir.
calling themselves these days. And he did that scoregami video. It's 4 years old, but go check it out. It's still a great watch about how hard it is to get 2 safeties in one game. He specifies that because, the idea of scoregami is a score that's never been done before. So when
Right.
Seattle beat Denver 43-8 in the Super Bowl, that was scoregami. 43-8 had never been recorded in an NFL game before. So a score like 4-2 would be so hard to do because of the safeties. And they did get 2 safeties. A 7-3 looks like a common score, but the way they got there. LSU, yeah. I mean, what'd you tell me about Brian Kelly?
So yeah, he's 40-0 when his team is favorited, and now he's 40-1. Or he was 40-0 going into that game, being the favorite. And now he's 40-1.
So,
I think earlier, whenever I recited it to you, I said he was 40-0 opening day, being the favorite. But obviously, he hasn't coached 40
40
years.
opening days.
So yeah, yeah. So, but 40-0 as a favorite, and he is now 40-1.
40-1. Yeah, every
Insane.
stat dies at some point. We'll talk about that later too.
Yeah.
One other game I need to look at here is, we understand college football is a high scoring outfit. There's the better high school talents as far as athletic ability tend to go to the offense when they go to college. Sometimes they transition to defense before they go to the NFL. So college football there's an imbalance between talent on offense and talent on defense. So from that, you're going to get a lot of high scoring games. But this North Carolina Appalachian State game, so the over under on this game was 56. Okay, so it was 56, and
Not just the fourth quarter, the whole game.
no, the whole game was 56, and you hit your over by the end of the third quarter. You had 62 points at the end of 3 quarters. That's something that happens. Sometimes you hit a quick over. Then they turn around and hit another 62 points in just the fourth quarter. No, we're not talking about a game that went to overtime. This game ended at triple zeros in the fourth quarter. The 62 points were scored in 1 quarter. You couldn't do that in a video game. I'm sure that was exciting. I'm sure nobody was, no NFL scouts were over there watching anybody on defense. I am a defensive minded kind of guy. 7-3 is kind of too far in the other end.
Right.
For me, they're both wild games in their own right. But yeah, if for some reason the bookmakers came down and said, okay, everything that happened in the first 3 quarters, forget it. Your bet starts now. You'd still cover. They covered the over under in the fourth quarter alone.
Insane.
And we're talking about a 56 over under, not a 25.
And what kind of threw me a little bit there too was App State was the favorite in that game.
Yeah.
And ended up losing. North Carolina ended up winning.
Yeah.
It's just weird for North Carolina Power 5 team to be an underdog in a situation like that. Usually you have pay games going the other way.
Yeah, well, Appalachian State's built up a decent reputation over the years. They're one of the better teams outside the Power 5 / American Conference. They're always going to have that Michigan win that kind of got them started nationally. So, yeah, North Carolina had the hype last season, didn't pay off. It wasn't a big surprise to see App favored in that game. They scored 120 points in that game. 100.
Yeah.
What was the exact number? 124 points were scored in that game, an average of 31 points per quarter. So every quarter you got 4 touchdowns and 1 field goal.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's
so sick.
again, there's entertainment to that, but it's not good football.
And somewhere somebody bet the under.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wasn't us.
No.
We took some brutal beats. We had some bad picks. We took some brutal beats this weekend, but the under in the North Carolina game where 150,000 points were scored was not us.
No, and it just goes to show how weird college football can be in the beginning. We take a team like Penn State, who we did get 3 different lines on that. We had the 3.5 on the game spread, Penn State minus 3.5. So the halftime spread and the over. All 3 of them hit. It was a little bit of a nail biter for the overall minus 3.5, but we got that one. And Michigan State got it for us.
Yeah. Back to Penn State real quick. Sean Clifford come out throwing dimes.
Yeah, he
looked great, and his receivers just weren't putting hands on it. And exactly what you said about us having a 3.5 and them winning by 4. I'm not going to look a gift horse after some of these insane beats that we took. Like you said, shout out Michigan State. They covered late. That one was a little bit sweaty, but they covered.
Mm-hmm.
Can I dive into my first bad beat, my first complaint?
Yeah, let's stick with the Big Ten. Go for it.
No, we're gonna go ACC because it's next on my notes.
Okay.
Hang on a second. This is my biggest. This is what hurt me the most. Okay.
Okay.
NC State, ECU. All right. 14-7 in the first quarter. We're on pace. We're exactly where we want to be. Okay. NC State, they fumble on the 2 to start the fourth quarter. They get it back after a 3 and out. They got stood up inside the 5-yard line again, and they throw a pick. And just the troll, just to mess with us, ECU scores and ties it up and misses the PAT. The story, I believe, of college football for the weekend is special teams. Special teams completely ran over offense and defense as far as importance in the games. They call it 3 phases, and I never believed that. But the more I break down or look at these games, the more I am a believer that last night, Clemson, Georgia Tech, we had the late game on the daily pick, 2 blocked punts. They blocked 2 blocked punts, one turnaround for a touchdown. It's sick, man. It's so sick. Special teams won. Go ahead though. I'm going to do that a lot this episode. I just want you to know.
No, you're fine. I mean,
I'm just going to branch off and just be sad for a second.
Special teams, because there are fewer special teams plays, they become outsized in the overall scheme of things. A great pass play is something you see. A great defensive play is something you see. A block punt run back for a touchdown is rare, and it has outsized importance. So, I mean, special teams is, to me, kind of like quarterback play. First, do no harm. And anything else you can get out of it is great. Just don't let anything really bad happen to you, and you're not going to wind up on the highlight reel losing by a point.
So let me ask you this, okay? Because I'm from the PlayStation era of the original Madden before it got real goofy. All right. So when play calling, do you consider the goal line defense special teams?
No.
Okay. Well, on Madden, you would have to go into special teams to select your goal line defense. So I always believed that goal line defense was considered special teams. And I mean, you're probably right. There's more reason to agree with why you're right than why I would think that. But I was going to use that point too, because Utah fumbled on the goal line and had the ball inside the 5 and threw a pick against Florida. Either one of those plays go a different way, and Utah beats and covers against Florida, especially when you're inside the 10-yard line. You throw a pick with 30 seconds left, down 3. You're guaranteed. You're free rolling overtime, right? You're free rolling. All you got to do is score a touchdown, go up 4, and hold them for the last 20 seconds or so of the game. I was like, man, special teams again, but you're probably right. Goal line defense probably doesn't fall under the spectrum of special teams. It just made sense in my mind.
Yeah, I would think that also if you're doing special teams in that situation, so we're talking about like field goal block team, you're not going to have your star defensive tackle out there, your star defensive end out there, where in the goal line situation you would, because you're facing the offense. So
Right.
that's weird that they
Hey,
put it in
so
special teams.
right. Well, it was Mad Man, so it wasn't even a real game.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's break down the games according to the list that you have them in, the order that you have them in. That way, I don't you don't say a game and then 3 minutes later I say the same game because we're out of order.
Okay. Well, as far as breaking down goes, did want to point out that we talked about Vandy and Hawaii
Yep.
last week and how that kind of went the wrong way. But then Vanderbilt came back this week at home against Elon. And they are, I think, barely in the 1AA category, which is now
Right.
known as
Yeah.
FCS.
Yeah.
Vandy beat them 42-31 at home. So the takeaway from this, there's two possible takeaways. Number one, is Hawaii really that bad that Vanderbilt ran them over like that?
Right.
Or is Vanderbilt not all that great? I mean, Vanderbilt, they're 2-0. They're going to be thinking about a bowl game now.
Yep.
Whether or not they can get there or not, they'd have to win a couple of games in conference. Not sure who's going to provide that win for them. But yeah, Vanderbilt and Hawaii are a couple of teams that's like, I don't know what to think about them. Maybe they're fades for now.
Yeah, I agree. When I was looking at the board for next week, I believe I saw Vandy, and I was like, over. I'm betting over, just betting over. Fade's probably the correct way. I think what happened in that Vandy Hawaii game, it was the right pick for a long time. Vandy's quarterback, he's kind of mobile, and I think him running around really just deflated Hawaii's defense. And once you get into that quicksand situation, you know what I mean? You just, and then Vandy just runs the score up, and all the eyes are on them. You know, everybody's watching the late Saturday night game because that's what's on, and it's week 0. But then I think Hawaii went out and got embarrassed again this weekend too, so maybe they are that bad. I feel like I saw that score, but don't quote me on that yet. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think Hawaii is set to play Michigan.
Yeah, we talked about that. And
I think we've already decided it's going to be a blowout. We've already marked it down.
Yeah. What was it, 50 or 51? Something like
some
that.
ungodly number.
Yeah, we were talking about maybe Michigan first half might be a play. Hawaii's bad. Who you got next? Obviously, I don't want to talk about every game, man. We don't have enough time in the day, but
we do have to talk about Illinois, Indiana. I think that was number 2 on your list. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tom Vernelli, correct? Am I pronouncing that correct?
Sounds right.
He it made me feel better. He came out on a rant and said one of the biggest surprises of the weekend was how much money Indiana had to pay off the refs to not count the touchdown in the first half for Illinois. That was absolutely disgusting. I mean, it's a bobble, but I mean they just Des Bryant the hell out of that kid. You know what I mean? Like it was a bobble, but it never hit the ground. It was a catch. It was secured. We definitely would have won covered with Illinois first half on that touchdown. They went to halftime down 6, had them money line plus a half, whatever you want to call it. But they would have been up 1 going in halftime, and I still stick by the what we said in the daily pick, which was Indiana having to come out and play cold, where Illinois has already kind of warmed up the engines.
Yeah,
right. They were more in rhythm. They had obviously more experience with one game, but however you want to say it, I think Illinois was more comfortable coming out compared to Indiana. I think it showed too. I think the touchdown should have counted.
Yeah, that logic was perfectly sound. You come out a little bit more in sync in the first half,
like the
having played a game,
Boys.
having played or Backstreet Boys, sure.
No, he said more in sync. I said, like the Backstreet Boys. That joke goes back to 1997, and it's still not over.
But I mean, we're not the types that want to pin a loss on a referee, but I mean, get that call right and we win. That's just straightforward. as
Yeah.
straightforward as it gets. So
And the goal is, we talked about this earlier, man. The goal is to, if you're going to make bad picks, don't make them in the same week that you take bad beats, because that just is trouble. That's just it's a recipe for disaster, and that's exactly what happened. We took some just horrific beats, and obviously definitely made some bad picks. We learned a lot this weekend about a lot of teams, but you put those two together, man, and it's brutal. And the officials were.
yeah, we're going to be the comeback kids, and it's going to start. It's going to start with the beginning of it, the NFL. We're going to have NFL
Absolutely.
back on Thursday.
Can't wait. Any other games you want to talk about?
No, I don't want to look back anymore. I'm a little sad.
Yeah. I was just making sure we got it over, man. That NC State ECU game, that should have went over. 21 points in the first quarter, man. I mean, you turned the game off. You already won that over.
Yeah.
Turned back on that. That was brutal. Yeah. I mean, in the lines we got to, the other thing I want to say, and then we'll look ahead. The lines we got were good lines. I think maybe one or two shifted the other way. Georgia, we didn't talk about Georgia, Oregon. I meant to, but we didn't talk about Georgia, Oregon on the podcast. It ended up being a daily pick. That line moved a lot towards Georgia. Obviously, that was the wrong one. But a lot of these games we picked, we got great number. We got numbers that were 7, 7.5, 8, that ended up going off at 5 and 5.5. Just like week 0, same thing happened. I mean, we're picking right, man. I'm still trusting in the process. It was just a couple of hiccups.
Yeah, we weren't going to go undefeated this year, so we got the loss out of the way.
Yeah. The 82-0 Miami Heat, when everybody said that they were gonna, and then like the second game out with LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, and the second game out they lost, and everybody's like, "All right, you're done with the 82-0 stuff," because it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen. Thursday night, you said it. Thursday night game. We have a Thursday night NFL game. And so obviously Mondays and Tuesdays, we're going to recap the college football picks, the NFL picks. We're going to mix in some UFC. Maybe Pete's going to have some football, some soccer for us. Maybe throw a little bit in there, here and there on the weekends or something. You scouting? You watching the board? You seeing it?
Yeah, soccer betting's a monster. Well, when we get to that, we'll talk about it.
Gotcha. I have we have created a whole network of UFC guys that have been rocking out that I trust a lot, so we'll throw those in. So Thursday we'll do our college football, NFL, UFC, potentially EPL. Is that
EPL?
Mm-hmm. Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm learning. We'll do those picks Thursday. We'll still have the daily picks. We'll still have adjustments. This is important too. Watch out for Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, us to do adjustments per the weather, because that's going to play a factor in a ton of these games. You'll hear me get on there, hey, emergency guys, we're calling the audible, hot route, we're taking the under, there's weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watch out for that kind of stuff. Thursdays, we'll have all those picks out. Tuesdays, we'll recap everything, and then we'll look ahead to the Thursday night game, which we're about to do now.
Yep.
Let's go.
So, first game of the season, we have last year's Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles Rams, against my pick for this year's Super Bowl champions, the Buffalo Bills. And Buffalo comes in actually as the favorite. The game is in LA. It's a -2.5. So Josh asked me to take a look at some history about Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champions on week 1. So this is going to be the 19th consecutive season now that the Super Bowl champion is designated to open the season on Thursday night, hosting against their opponents. Now, in the previous 18 years, this has actually happened 16 times. One time, the Ravens, coming off a Super Bowl win, were forced to go on the road because of a scheduling conflict with the Orioles, and they lost that game. And then in 2019, for the 100th anniversary, they went ahead and did Packers and Bears, so that for the history behind it, I guess, whatever it may be. And the defending champions were the Patriots. They just played a regular Sunday game, and they won. In the other 16 games, the Super Bowl champions are 14-2. No, we're not talking about point spread
That's
necessarily. That's a lie. We're not talking about covering a
that's
spread.
tough.
We're just
Yeah,
talking about
straight
winning
up.
the game. So
Gotcha.
they are the defending champions. They are at home. Chances are their opponent's not as good as they are. Uh, one of the years that a team lost was the Patriots. When everyone, speaking of going 82-0 with the Miami Heat, everyone was talking about the Patriots going 16-0, and the Chiefs came out and smacked them. Just
Right.
absolutely smacked them. It was
Oh,
Kareem Hunt's breakout game when he fumbled on his very first career carry. His first career carry, he fumbled, and he wound up with like 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game.
I meant to ask you about that earlier
Mhm.
when I said do a little scouting and see if you see anything interesting, any trends. What you found, you're a wizard at that, man. You're sick and sane. So 14-2 for defending Super Bowl champions. Is
When
that
they're
the stat?
playing at home on Thursday night. Yeah.
The next question I meant to ask you was how many of those were the Patriots games? Because
A
that had to
few.
have been, yeah,
Yeah.
had to have been a lot. Yeah,
A few.
yeah,
Like 3 of them. It only started after their 04 victory. And then they got left out the one year when they went with Bears and Packers. But as far as people are concerned, Tom Brady is the Patriots. So they had the Buccaneer game last year too that they won by 2 points when Tom Brady willed his kicker to kick the game-winning field goal like he always does.
he's the goat.
Hey, I went a long time without saying anything.
He's he's the goat.
Okay.
And he got plastic surgery and he looks awful right now. He looks so bad.
Couldn't care less
It's
about that.
not, I'm just saying it's like he went away for a couple weeks and they said it was a planned thing and there was like weird funny rumors speculating about the him going and doing the Mass Singer because it was around the same time that was being recorded and he come back and his face looks like he's got suctioned up by an alien. And he's like, "What are y'all talking about? Yeah, it was planned." Like, yeah,
Mm,
bro, it's planned plastic surgery. That's bad.
I guess that
Go
makes me
ahead.
feel bad.
Let's.
He's not that much older than me. We're
I
talking about
mean,
16 months or so older than me.
yeah. If you were married to a supermodel, bro, I would suggest going the plastic surgery route. You know what I mean, just to keep up with her. But until
Yeah,
that happens, bro, I think you're good.
we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah.
So, in the face of all that history, we talked about Vanderbilt, or pardon me, Hawaii being great covering opening day. We talked about Brian Kelly being undefeated for crying out
Yeah.
loud as a favorite.
Yeah.
Numbers can turn. So even in the face of all that history, Buffalo -2.5 is the pick. So the Rams got a great benefit during last. You don't see this in the NFL too often. Signing free agents or making trades during the season. You see it in baseball all the time. You see it in basketball all the time. But they brought in 2 guys to help push them over the top. They're both gone. Odell Beckham obviously tore his ACL, is not with anybody. And the second guy they picked up is going to be on the other sideline now. We're talking about Von Miller.
Right. Yeah. He's on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brain chasing.
And Buffalo's just, I think, I've mentioned this before. They've been the most talented team in the league 3 years running now. They got to come out and, like you said, all eyes are on them.
Mm-hmm.
If that's going to be the case on a Saturday night game taking place in Hawaii, it's going to for sure be the case on a Thursday night game, opening day, NFL, all eyes on Buffalo. Are they going to come out and put their stamp on this game, on this season? We think, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so hungry dog runs faster, right?
Yep.
I live by that. Is it a motto or a mantra?
Either one works.
Okay, cool.
I guess it's a
Now,
motto if you really put it into practice, maybe.
if you tattoo it on your forearm, it's a motto.
Sure.
If you say it whenever you're trying to sound smart, it's a mantra.
Go
All
for
right,
it.
so
Go with that.
hungry dog runs faster. I believe that. Not to say that everybody on both sides aren't competitive, right? But but Stafford did just get that Super Bowl, right? And you've got to think that Josh Allen and everybody on that staff is starving. They're hungry, right? So obviously McVay's going to come out with a plan, and everybody on the team is going to come out and want to compete. But you have to give the bone to the faster dog.
Yep.
and the Bills are going to come out. The hungry dog runs faster, man. And I think you're right. I think they're definitely chasing the Super Bowl this year. They're not going to win the Super Bowl that I have predicted, but I still give them respect, man. I love Josh Allen. He's so funny, man. He's such a guy's guy. He's such a Buffalo Bill. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
love it. I love the pick. I love the Thursday night pick. I think I think it says a lot that the stat you just named off, as well as that record has been, that the sports books ignored it and ignored that they're the defending Super Bowl champions and made the Bills the favorite on the road.
Yeah.
Are they our no, they can't be our road dogs because they're the favorite. Damn it.
Yeah. We'll have a road dog. We'll have a road dog for Sunday.
For
Sure
sure.
for that. The other difference is all these teams that have been defending Super Bowl champions during this 16-year time period, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Steelers, these teams have pronounced home field advantages because of their crowd. We're talking about a laid back LA crowd. They don't really have much of a home field. I'll bet a lot of people that still live in LA are barely realizing the Rams came back. And it's been
Right.
a few years. Maybe the fact that they started winning attuned them to it. But the California crowds in general, LA is even worse. Don't be surprised if there's not a lot of Buffalo fans in that game, too. So the
I
home field advantage
believe
for Los Angeles isn't quite the same as it is for other teams.
I'm with you, and I'm going to double down on that. It is a Thursday night game, and the fans are just as hungry. And I can live in a world where not only are there a lot of Buffalo fans, but they outnumber the Rams fans. And it's a Thursday night, right? So who wouldn't take off work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, go to LA, call it a vacation, watch the Bills game? I mean, it fits the Bills narrative. Like their fans are just that crazy.
Right. And it's
Bills
also a
Mafia is a real
holiday
thing.
weekend. Coming off a holiday weekend, could have taken the whole week off if they wanted to.
Yeah, yeah.
And Rams fans are known to give up their tickets too for the right price. They needed an entire campaign to stop the 49ers from taking over that stadium in the NFC Championship game. They didn't do well in the regular season. There were more 49er fans in that stadium than there were Rams fans. And 49er fans aren't exactly the most passionate either. So, yeah, this a big stat. It's a big number. But at the end of the day, I do see that Buffalo taking this game 2.5 points, no problem.
I love it. And I know that you also had some props that you dove into, man. What else we got for it?
Yeah, there's a couple of props I do like in this game. The first one, and they're both Bills players. The first one I'm going to look at is Devin Singletary. He is kind of nominally the Bills' starting running back. I'm not sure he truly is. There's three different guys back there that can carry the ball: him, Zach Moss, and rookie James Cook. So all the running back props in this game are pretty low. I guess they're expecting it to be an aerial show, but Singletary comes in at 12 and a half carries and 45 and a half yards. And I'm going to like the under on both of those. I'm not sure he's going to see the ball much. What he does see, I don't think he's going to run for much. That Rams defense is tough to run on. It's not just Aaron Donald. Of course, he can stop you from doing all sorts of things, but Ashawn Robinson, top-notch run defender. Even someone like Greg Gaines is a top-notch run defender. So the Bills' plan is probably going to be to put the ball in the air, stay away from Jalen Ramsey, even though he's shown a little bit mortality here lately, but he's still a top-notch corner, obviously. Just get the ball in the air away from Jalen Ramsey. I could see Singletary catching some passes if they have trouble running the ball. So under 12 and a half carries, that gets you minus 104. Under 45 and a half yards, that gets you minus 114.
I like it. I like it. And we talked about them both, man. They both make genius sense to me. The other one I'm going to, it'll probably be a daily pick. We'll throw it out Thursday when we dive a little bit deeper into it. I might look at a Josh Allen rush prop.
Yeah.
I feel like there might be some value in that. We'll take a look at that. And as much as you mentioned the air raid and the lack of rushing, neither one of us can agree on it going over. It feels trappy, right? Because it's the NFL Week 1, Game 1, two big teams, start of the season, get all the eyes out, make it exciting, and they're just setting it up for a huge failure of an over and just the
Yeah.
under, just
Yeah.
breaking everybody's hearts. And it's scary enough to just fade. And
It's a bit, yeah. The play sometimes is a fade.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the other prop, and we're gonna mention this. I mean, it's part of life. It's an unfortunate situation with Bills tight end Dawson Knox. He did
Mhm.
lose his younger brother, and you know these athletes, they're all human beings, all of them, and they all have families, they all have close ones, loved ones, and our heart goes out to Dawson, to his entire family. But sports teaches us that these guys are able to overcome, and he's back with the team, and he called it being back with the team like a relief. I don't want to quote him exactly because I don't want to speak to his heart,
Uh,
nothing
I
else,
think I saw the same press conference, the first one after his brother
Yeah.
passed away, and I believe that's you're right on point with what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. So his touchdown prop is listed at plus 165 to score one. I think he gets one. Um, it's not a setup or anything like that. I think he's motivated. I think the team wants him to have that feeling. Getting that, I wouldn't be surprised if he scores the first touchdown. If they can set it up as such.
Right.
The Rams aren't necessarily strong at defending the tight end. Their top coverage linebackers. I mean, Bobby Wagner has a chance to be that. We'll see how much of a step back he's taken. I think Ernest Jones at linebacker was their number one guy doing that last year, and I'd take Dawson Knox over Ernest Jones in a one-to-one matchup, especially in a red zone situation. So plus 165 for Dawson Knox to score a touchdown. It would be a nice story. Without the bet, without the wager, it would still be a nice story. But while it's there, it's being offered.
Yeah.
Take the bet.
Yeah. Capitalize off of blood money. Way to go,
No.
Pete. Well, the other thing too, man, you have to consider, like you said, the human emotion in it. And just picture this, okay? Josh Allen, bootleg, rolls out to the right, and he has space to walk in 3 yards and score a touchdown, or he could toss it in front of him to a half wide open Dawson Knox who can reach for the ball and score. He's not going to walk it in. He's going to make that throw. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
any situation he gets that opportunity, he's going to give the ball up, man. You have to take that into account too.
And
I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you just described exactly what the Seahawks should have called on second and goal in that one game.
Yeah.
If they weren't going to hand it off, that was the play.
Golly, man. How long has that been?
How many gifts have you know what? We're not going to talk about him. He had plastic surgery. We're going to leave him alone. Many gifts. Many gifts given to him by the other team. Many gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what you do. You bring the goat food. So what was going to be we're not going to talk about story. Rose, I believe, got cut from the Rams, man.
Oh, did he?
Okay. Yeah, AJ Rose.
He's a practice squad candidate.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. I love that kid. We're not going to talk about we're going to talk about. Did a fantasy draft over the weekend. And once I get that deep, I guess you can call it stupid. I don't care, whatever. Once I'm into my last pick, I just go homer, man. And I looked him up, and it said he didn't have a team. He was a free agent.
That's okay. Again, I still, my initial thought on him was he's a good dynasty stash, and I'm not against that idea still. You don't have to have a rostered guy to be on your dynasty team, especially if it's a deep team. So, yeah, you've got me invested in this dude, man. I want to see him. I want to see him do something. As long as it's not against 49ers, he can do whatever he wants.
There's tape on him at Kentucky, man. He was good.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. I ended up picking up Benny Snell. So
there you go. Yeah, nothing wrong with it, especially in a deeper league. Make a homer pick on the last pick.
For sure. All right. Do we have any more picks that we want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Well, we do have a Friday night game that's generated some, not a lot of local interest. We got Central Florida and Louisville. So we talked about the American Conference. Houston came out flat, barely beat UTSA.
3 overtimes.
Right. Cincinnati played hard, but lost. The other big team in that conference is Central Florida. And forgive me for not remembering their opponent last week. It's the Sisters of the Blind or something. They came out and hammered it home. So they looked okay. Whereas Louisville played Syracuse. You're expecting to see Rick Pitino and Jim Boeheim on the sidelines for that one. But Syracuse, what, 31-7?
30. Louisville was a 6-point favorite
At
and
Syracuse.
lost 31-7.
So
And I didn't see the play-by-play of the box score. I'm hoping it wasn't just a garbage time touchdown. But I didn't hear any Louisville fans on my timelines anywhere after
right.
that. 31-7.
Yeah,
Sheesh,
and
man.
Syracuse is not exactly a football power, not even a basketball powerhouse anymore, but they're not a football powerhouse either. So there's no rule in sports, especially in football, that says what happened last week is going to happen this week. In fact, it's sometimes wiser to kind of expect it to go the other way. That said, well, Central Florida is at home, favored by 6.5. And
Six and a half.
you got to imagine Louisville recruits pretty well in Florida. You know, they found a certain Heisman Trophy winner down there a few years ago.
Yeah, Charlie Strong
Yeah.
picked all them kids up, man.
But Central Florida is going to have some guys that maybe feel like they should have been at Louisville and they got overlooked and they want to have a Central Florida instead. There's a tiny little bit of motivation added on there. Even if we expect some of this to boomerang back, and Central Florida's not going to win by 70 or whatever they won by, and Louisville's not going to get blown out again, that 6.5 still looks comfortable to me.
Yeah.
Central Florida may be having visions of being the best non-Power 5 conference team this season. And I understand Louisville's not a power. They're still an ACC team. They still have national recognition. Take it from me as someone who didn't live in the Midwest South area for the first 30-something years of my life. I knew who Louisville was in all regards. They are a nationally recognized name. And getting a win like that in a bit of a spotlight game where you're not competing against 70 other games, I think it's going to be meaningful to Central Florida. I can see them not exactly blowing the doors off, but something along the lines of 34-21, 31-21. That covers 6.5 to me.
Yeah. Satterfield Saturdays are not for the boys.
No.
Not as of right now. They're not. So obviously I'm a homer. And I want to get this one out before the Friday night picks. Kentucky, Florida. Okay. Anthony Richardson, he is good. I'm not going to take anything. He's the Florida quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take anything away from him. I watched that game live. Obviously, we had invested interest in Utah, who should have won the game. You give Kentucky the ball inside the 10 with 30 seconds left, up or down 3, then Florida's not going to win that game. But nevertheless, Anthony Richardson, I watched the game live. The juke he made that made all the highlights. They were all. It was good. He was good. He's a good player. He's Gainesville born. He's a strong Florida kid. You're giving Kentucky 5.5 points. It opened up at 5.5. Dropped to 4.5 immediately. Immediately dropped to 4.5. Give me Kentucky in the point. Give me Kentucky money line for sure, or Kentucky spread for sure. I'll take the Kentucky money line. Give me Kentucky in the points all day. We didn't look great coming out in Miami, Ohio. First half should have been the play. I talked myself out of it. In the daily picks, we talked about being a weather game. We wasn't sure how that was going to pan out. I don't care if it's in the swamp. Utah should have won that game. Cam Rising throws a pick. 20 seconds left, down 3, inside the 10, whatever. Not my Will Levis. He's not going to do that. Kentucky in the points. We are going to ride. I love it. I'm so excited. And so many people, I've listened to so many of the big heads, the smart people saying that if Florida loses that game, Kentucky comes out as the favorite. That's how much the bookmakers can shift their opinion or shift the public's opinion just by that Florida win against Utah that they should have lost.
Right.
So take that little inkling of knowledge with you and know that this would have been Kentucky being a favorite, couple point favorite, if 20 seconds didn't happen in the Utah-Florida game. So they're essentially giving us 7.5 points. If Kentucky's supposed to be a favorite in that game by a couple points and they're getting 4.5, 5.5, you're getting a whole touchdown advantage, man. I love it. I love it.
And that brings up a larger point, a very important point, that bookmakers don't necessarily set lines based on what they think is going to happen. We've talked about this before. Bookmakers set the lines based on where they can get the action. And if they feel like they can fool the public into taking Florida because of a result, not because of a performance, and there is a difference between result and performance, then we got to be sharp enough to get on the right side of that. And Kentucky money line does sound good. So give us some points to play with. Take that as well.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, and well, I'll probably say this 100 more times, man, since you brought it back up. The point of the sports book is to split the public and have money go on either side, and for them to collect the juice, right? I mean, that's the whole blueprint. It's a bank. It's free robbery,
right?
And that's why we're here, man, to make sure that you're not on the wrong side.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the bank does. The interest rate they provide you on your savings account is lower than the interest rate they charge for their loans. So it's essentially the same thing. So
nailed it. All right, big guy. Well, looks like we're wrapping up.
All right.
Season 1, episode 11, Drive Across 65. Do you have anything else?
No, just thank you everyone for listening. We are going to do better. We're going to provide that value for you. Week 1's tough. We got 17 weeks to go in the 18 weeks to go in the NFL season, and lots more college action to go. And you're going to see something special.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Pineapples don't go on pizza on social media. You can find us everywhere at #DriveAcross65. Good luck, everybody.